Right, so let's move to breaking news now. Atul and Rajesh Gupta have been arrested in Dubai. We understand. For more, let's speak to SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. Oh, Sophie, what do we know?
What we know is that the story surfaced later today from News 24. We have to credit them. They broke the story that the two brothers were arrested, and as per SABC policy and the guidelines, editorial guidelines, we did our own verification and just confirmed with a reliable source within government that indeed they have been arrested. You'd recall that there's been shuttling between India and United Arab Emirates, Dubai to be specific. And you'd recall that on many occasions, Nihapuna did a story in terms of updating us when they were in India. But later it was very difficult to track them down. And you know that Interpol had since placed them under red alert, and therefore it was clear that it was going to be very difficult for them to move around when Interpol took a decision to place them on red alert. But also the South African government has been negotiating with the United Arab Emirates in terms of revoking the extradition treaty to ensure that they are sent back to South Africa. But the arrest today, it is still going to take time, because then the processes of extradition will have to kick in, and it depends how the United Arab Emirates will handle this. You know, for example, with Bushiri, we're still struggling to bring Bushiri back in South Africa, just here around the corner in Malawi. Therefore, the United Arab Emirates, it is going to be a bit more difficult, but the officials, particularly the leading department, the Department of Justice, police, and maybe here and there the Department of International Relations are now trying to find a way in terms of how they negotiate with the authorities in Dubai to ensure that they are sent back to South Africa. But it is too early to confirm in terms of when will this be done.
And one of the things, of course, that one would look at is even, while those red notices were issued around this 24.9 million rand, for example, New Lane investment particular case, but also there's also a lot of allegations to answer to where state capture is concerned. So this does not necessarily put us very close to knowing what happened, because, as you say, processes are still going to unfold.
I think the reports that were presented to the presidency by the Chief Justice in terms of the report itself, the state capture report, it gives an indication in terms of what happened. But really to get answers why it happened and who enabled this process of state capture, I think those questions can be answered by the Guptas themselves. But like I pointed out, much as they have been arrested in the United Arab Emirates, that is Dubai, it will take time for the whole process to be concluded before they come to South Africa. I've cited an example of Bushiri. How many months we have been talking about Bushiri coming to South Africa to account, a country in the SADC region where you have protocols, you have agreements in terms of cross-border crimes. Therefore, with this one, it is going to be really a very difficult process, but at least there's a light in terms of now they are in the hands of the police in the United Arab Emirates, that is Dubai, and therefore now the department, the lead department in this case, it is the Department of Justice. In questions, we're supposed to ask the Department of Justice to give us a proper briefing. There's no way police or the Department of International Relations will share information, because they are not responsible for extradition treaties. it is the Department of Justice.
All right, so let's leave it there and see what tomorrow holds. That's our international news editor, Sophie Mokoena. Of course, talking about breaking news that you can see at the bottom of your screen. Rajesh and Atul Gupta have been arrested in Dubai, a story that was broken by News 24, but also independently verified by the SABC as well. And very interesting to note here is that the lawyers who deal with extradition cases are going to be interesting now to really follow, to understand just how long can this process takes, because as Sophie explains, it may even be up to years before we even get to see them. And how far are we when it comes to the extradition laws and those agreements between South Africa and, of course, the country where they are being held? We do understand they were arrested in Dubai, so lots of questions are going to be posed towards the Department of Justice, and we will continue to track developments around this particular story.